Hey, affirmation listeners. Today I'm thrilled to introduce you to an incredible guest, John Willoughby. John has dedicated many years to becoming an emotional healer, mastering the diverse range of healing modalities. His expertise include wellness coaching, kinesiology, reconnective healing, Reiki, ThetaHealing, and the emotional code. Through his dedication and passion, John has developed a unique approach called Reset Your Life, which provides a holistic method for emotional healing. This approach focuses on addressing the root causes of emotional distress rather than just treating the symptoms. John's work has had a profound impact on my life, and I'm genuinely excited to share his wisdom and insights with you all. His ability to integrate these various healing practices into a cohesive and effective system is truly remarkable. Every conversation with John is enlightening, and I never get bored talking to him. I'm beyond excited to have him on the show to dive deeper in his journey, his methods, and the transformative power of his work. Welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you very much, Eden. It's a great opportunity for me to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. After having a couple of sessions with you, I found they've really helped me to maintain a positive mindset and be my best self. What actually inspired you to get into this kind of work?
Yeah, well, I've been associated with mostly the construction industry for most of my working life, probably up until about 8 years ago when I started to branch out into various aspects of energy healing.
We love a dichotomy between construction and energy healing. I guess people could say the same thing about me with my background in marketing and writing positive affirmations. So, what initially sparked your interest in healing, and how did you make that transition from construction into energy healing?
Well, in my early 30s, I became acquainted with the work of a local sort of life coach style of consultant named Paul Blackburn. And through attending some of Paul's courses, he made me aware of how important our subconscious mind is in determining our life experiences. And this immediately sparked a very strong interest in this area for me because it was very relatable. Probably my first aha moment in the journey, when as part of Paul's suite of tools that he used to help get us or gain greater understanding of the power of our mind, he gathered several hundred people together on a cold June night to try to beat a Guinness World Record for the greatest number of people participating in a fire walking event at one time. So after about an hour's mind prepping, we all went out and successfully completed the barefoot walk of about 10 walking paces across red hot coals. This experience was quite a revelation of not only the potential power of our mind, but also the innate ability we all have to manipulate the energy within our bodies and our energy fields. And so this is where, as they say, the rubber hit the road for me. This was no longer just theory, this was very real. I've since trained in and studied in Reiki, ThetaHealing, and the emotion and body code. From this, I undertook some further basic training in kinetics, but whilst it was a next massive leap really in understanding and a crossing of the bridge to being able to directly communicate with the unconscious mind, for me, it wasn't really sort of ringing that bell. I also investigated a modality called Reconnective Healing and undertook some training and received multiple treatments from an experienced practitioner just to have an understanding of that. That reconnective healing method is a hands-off form, but it's non-diagnostic energy healing. It just relies on introducing its particular energy frequency to a client, which is similar to Reiki, I guess, and then letting that energy find its own way to areas for correction. So then I sort of combined all that system, and I have a system now that I call Reset Your Life, and it is a blended development of many systems, as we've been discussing. It's principally founded in the basics of the emotion and body codes and theta healing.
I'm actually quite familiar with Bradley Nelson's The Emotional Code. After our first session together, it prompted me to go and read the book and explore his theories. While I know it's not necessary for your clients to do that, for me, I wanted to understand the why behind the process. For the listeners who aren't actually familiar, the book focuses on how trapped emotions can impact our physical and emotional well-being. The method involves identifying and releasing these trapped emotions to promote healing. Throughout my healing sessions with you, I found it fascinating to learn about the trapped emotions and how you've released them within me. In our last session, we actually released some trapped emotions that I had been carrying in my lower legs and lower body since I was 8, which was particularly interesting to me because for people who don't understand or don't know me, I was a sprinter growing up and I always felt like I could never perform to the ability that I wanted to. So since actually releasing those trapped emotions, it's made me reconsider actually getting back into athletics and maybe considering doing masters, just because I want to see if my body can actually get to where I wanted it to be. For our listeners, could you actually explain your definition of what a trapped emotion is?
Well, so if we want to understand trapped emotions or embedded emotional energies, we start with the emotions, which can be thought of as forms of energy that flow through the body. This idea is based on the principle that everything, including our thoughts and feelings, is made up of energy. Emotions in this context are seen as vibrational frequencies that can either be harmonious or disruptive to our overall energy field. So a normal human experience is when an emotional energy it gets generated and then we feel it or we acknowledge it and then we process it in, let's call it, a healthy way. So maybe we think it out, maybe we express it with some physical thing. We might yell or get angry, or in whatever way we allow that emotion. Well, it comes and it builds in us. We may not be able to allow ourselves to feel and process the emotion, which can lead to suppression. And when you suppress your emotions, that can lead to them becoming trapped or embedded, and this potentially causes issues later. So we can envisage a trapped emotion as a small ball of energy that's located somewhere in the body. Frequently, I find in the lower limbs or upper shoulder to head area. And then once that the frequency and the energy is there and embedded in it, it's kind of like a lighthouse, continually transmitting its light energy across the sea. The trapped emotion energy continuously emits the frequency of the emotion into our energy field. And in simple terms, this just causes us to continually feel that emotion. So different to emotions coming and going, this emotion came and it stayed.
It's truly amazing the work you do. From my experience with these sessions, some of the emotions we released have been ones that I've remembered, while others were completely new to me. So, with all of your holistic research, how do you actually define emotional healing and what actually makes your approach holistic?
Thanks, Eden. Good question. Look, fundamentally, our healing is what I would say genuinely holistic. The term holistic gets thrown around a lot. Our approach is one that seeks to identify all of the issues at the outset, rather than only seeking resolution to current symptoms. So there's many modalities out there that will just treat the issues that a client presents with, or they might do a bit more, but they never know, or they never seek to understand the totality of the issues that a client might be holding in their system, that is their energy system. And that's important because a single issue or overall symptom rarely has just the one cause. The changes made in one of our healing sessions are permanent and they will not reoccur. So it's not like a massage, and it's not like some other healing modalities that will clear blockages in energy, but not permanently. I think moreover, our clients are left, because of that, far more resilient to similar potential issues in the future. So we don't limit the areas of emotional influences that we deal with to a singular area, such as embedded emotional energies. The system identifies and corrects issues across the subconscious programming of many areas of the psyche, including beliefs, behaviour, things like negative thoughts, the ego, and a host of other categories and subsets of categories that influence our emotional state. So the process for all of our work, then, we want to identify an issue. We then perform energetic correctional changes to resolve the issue, and then we validate that the change has occurred. So identify it, ask for a change, and then validate that the change has occurred. The way we go about this is what I describe as a done-for-you service. With the permission of the client, we utilise techniques that allow for the direct question and response from the subconscious mind without the need for a client's conscious input. So this allows us to identify the full extent of emotional issues at the very outset, and we can provide that information to our clients both at the start initially and at every step of the process. This is one thing that I take pride in the system, in it does not require clients to regress and relive past emotional traumas, and that in this way all our sessions are as emotionally gentle as possible, and clients can feel that they are in a safe place. Our clients can choose to be as hands-off or as involved as they desire. However, no matter the choice, it's all equally effective. It's not commonly understood that the majority of our emotional influencing baggage is already with us at birth. This is quite a revelation for a lot of people, and it can be hard to understand why this is the case, but it is. And the sooner we can unburden ourselves of the baggage, the sooner we can start to actually feel freely alive. The outcome that we're seeking for every client is to experience emotional freedom in all its forms and across all influences. And by emotional freedom, I mean emotion that is true, it's fresh, relevant, and it's appropriate to the actual moment that we're in. That is, that it's not responding from a set of predetermined programs locked in our psyche. Now, at one end of the scale, our clients only need to give us their permission, and they can pretty much sit back and leave it all to us. There's nothing to learn, there's no books to read, no hypnosis, no long drawn out discussions. And on the other end of the scale, our clients can become involved in the process as much as they wish. And really, it is important to understand, particularly in our instant gratification world, that the process here, it's not a sprint or a quick fix overall. It's more of a marathon, but done at your own pace and integrally guided by your subconscious mind.
Yeah, it's so interesting how much the mind can do without us even being aware of it. I think it's really important to mention again that your clients don't need to relive the traumas. Instead, you focus on connecting with the emotions behind them. You mentioned techniques that allow you to ask the body direct questions. How do you get those answers?
So the simple answer is we use muscle testing. Muscle testing is used as a tool to interact with the subconscious mind. That's what we're talking about. Muscle testing was a technique that was developed in the field of kinesiology, but principally used initially for diagnosis of different ailments within the body, but later found to be just as effective in answering questions of the subconscious mind. So really muscle testing is done by testing a particular muscle in the body. The probably most commonly known form of muscle testing is when someone holds their arm out straight and someone applies pressure around the wrist area of the arm and tries to push the arm down. And in concert with the question, the arm will either resist the downward pressure or the arm will basically collapse. And a collapse is equal to a no. And if the muscle stays strong and resists the pressure, that's equal to a yes. So that's basically what muscle testing is. Something that I'd be happy to go into more deeply, perhaps at another time. But we can think of the subconscious mind as a portal to all the information and records of our human body and associated energy field. And by using muscle testing and by making sure that we frame our questions of the subconscious to elicit yes or no responses, we can use this simple technique to directly access information from the subconscious mind. Now, in concert with the questions, we use a lot of charts so that we can speed up the process and simplify the process. And so the charts allow us to say, is it this or is it that? And of course, because everything's energy and everything's connected, the subconscious understands the chart and the details that are in the chart, and we can very rapidly get through a lot of information and narrow it down to a specific thing rather quickly. So we use that muscle testing to initially identify all of the issues. So we go through a whole series of questioning in a very large chart that covers all sorts of areas of the body's energy system and the psyche. We can find out where the issues are, and then once we move into sessions where we work specifically on the identified issues that we identify at the start, we then use muscle testing to work through the process of the further identification and validation of the release.
Yeah, it is so fascinating to learn all of these different ways that you can release and find the energy. You mentioned the subconscious mind earlier. Could you elaborate on the role our subconscious beliefs and programming play into our overall well-being, and how do these underlying thoughts and patterns influence our daily lives and emotional health?
Yeah, well, the subconscious mind retains memory by continuously recording our experiences, our thoughts and feelings. And all of this happens without our conscious awareness. Subconscious mind acts like a vast storage system. It captures everything we encounter, even if we don't actively pay attention to it. So think of everything you've ever seen, you've smelt, you've tasted. It's all actually recorded there. But unlike the conscious mind, which processes information more selectively, the subconscious absorbs and stores these vast amounts of data, all of those sensory inputs, as I mentioned, emotions, and learnt behaviours. Now, these memories influence our thoughts, actions, and reactions, often without us realising it. And it shapes our habits, instincts, and probably the most critical thing is our automatic responses that we kind of go, well, where did that come from? Why am I so upset when in this situation? It kind of doesn't make sense. So it's in this way that the subconscious mind can be used. When we talk about using it as a portal, it can be used, if you think of it, as our personal Google for all that we may seek to know and understand about what's happening in our personal energy field. So we're considering all additional energies in our body, being trapped emotions, we're considering energy imbalances, we're considering all of the other programming in our psyche that we can then go and access just the way we access all of that information on the internet. But the key there is to have a method for accessing the information, a bit like how we're able to use any of our connected devices to access the internet. Think of it in that way. How do we do it? What is going to be our connected device to do that? Now, part of this method as a practitioner is the muscle testing, as we've previously discussed, but it's also developing the ability to freely and effectively tap into different frequencies beyond just our own. So we all have a bit of a sense of our own frequencies, and we know, we do use it sometimes, but we don't sort of train ourselves in it or have control over it necessarily. Because if we pause to think about it, there's countless signals already known to us and all around us all the time. Whether it's the many smartphone connections, Wi-Fi, TV, radio, the thought we received just prior to someone ringing us, oh, I was just thinking of you, or seeing them in the street. What a surprise, I was just thinking of you. Or that feeling that's often spoke about of just knowing something's not quite right. Or even the warm rays of the sun. They're all just energetic connections of differing frequencies. And these can also be thought of importantly as stores of information. So with practice and development technique, we're able to tune into these differing and personally unique stores of information to not only access the information, but here's the key, to amend the record or the settings and programs as needed, and thereby improve the life experiences of our clients.
I think it is so powerful that we have that ability to reset the record for us, because a lot of our traumas are things that, are things we experienced in our childhood or things we weren't equipped to explore in our life at that moment. So What is actually the correct term for what you release, and how do you guide people through this process of releasing it?
So when I spoke about changing the record in in common terms, or something that's more relatable, we sort of break it down into three different types of changes that are affected during a healing session. They're generally made up of these three types. There's releases, so these are things that we wish to remove from our energy field or the reference information record, such as excess emotional energies stored within the body. They're our trapped or embedded emotions, and any negative programming. So we're releasing these sorts of things from our energy field, from the record. The next one is corrections. So where there's corrections, we're correcting or rebalancing energetic imbalances within our energy field. And most of those are probably within what we know as their physical body. They're just simple areas where the normal energy flow in the body has become out of alignment, and we're restoring that alignment and that correct flow of the energy. And the third one is instillment. So it might be appropriate, normally as we get towards the end of our work, to be instilling additional programming to support better life experiences. So we might be asking the subconscious if, what else is that we need to do, or we might have identified an area that needed additional support. And just in the same way that we can change the record for negative held programming, we can also, obviously with clients' permission, instill um, positive beliefs and other programs into the psyche. As just discussed, what it comes down to is effectively changing the record. So the next time we go to reference it, it's either in an improved form or it no longer exists. So, it's not there anymore. So that's not going to be an outcome. My role in a release or correction is to facilitate that energetic change in the information record on the basis that it's the client's subconscious that provides the portal to the place of the information. And as long as access can be had through the portal, then a change can be effected. The role of the client in this respect is at a minimum only passive. So, as I said, a done for you service, you don't really need to do anything except give us your permission, work with us, and we can pretty much do it all because we're sitting on the side. You've given us access, and we can, because we're practiced at it, we can make those changes for you in the record. But at the same time, varying levels of participation can be included to enhance the personal experience. There's a lot of skills that you can gain along the way, and develop your own muscle testing skills, as an example, to be able to, have access to this information in the same way.
Yeah, this release process you were just speaking about really fascinates me because the time it takes to release different emotions can vary. I recall that we released an internal belief relating to abandonment and it took just 5 seconds, while other beliefs we've addressed together have taken longer. Currently, I am a week into a 5 week release period, and I don't actively need to do anything during this period. But as I get closer to the end of the 5 weeks, I am starting to feel slightly more emotionally lighter, which is amazing. So, John, we're almost at the end of this episode, but I just wanted to get one last question out of you. Are there any new directions or developments in your work that you are particularly excited about?
Well, there's always something evolving, and as I said earlier, it's usually comes about when my clients challenge me, where we haven't been able to really close out some issue that they're presenting with. But, there's always regular aha moments in that sense. But there has been some pivotal moments in the journey to date on clients' synchronization and disconnection issues. Sometimes we experience events that shock our systems emotionally, which is generally understood, but they can also leave us with other long-term energetic system issues. But experience has shown over time that there's seemingly an endless range of synchronization and disconnection. I previously worked with a systemized set of predetermined, or let's call them envisaged, disconnection issues out of a system, but experience has shown that there is seemingly endless ranges of synchronization and disconnection issues. These, for example, are between different body parts and the body system, between our different brains, probably a subject for later, our own energy field, our meridians, our chakras. All of these things can either become fully disconnected or suffer synchronization issues to varying levels. So I now understand that these predetermined system components are a limiting factor to full discovery of a complete set of issues. So through a series of experiences working with clients that I've had, I've come to understand that a system, particularly one that's utilizing the energetic information of the universe, and no matter how apparently generalized it is in certain areas, it's energetically limited to the knowledge and intent of its creator.
Wow. So, what you're saying is that if we limit ourselves to a fixed set of references, we miss out on the potential for new discoveries beyond that system. I find it fascinating that as we evolve as humans, it becomes increasingly clear that we also need to evolve our methods of healing. Thank you so much for the time today, John. What stands out to me is that there is still so much we're learning about the subconscious mind as a means to heal and improve how we protect ourselves in this world. Could you please let listeners know how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks, Eden. It's been really great. I guess the principles and the ideas here can be a bit out there for some people and a bit much. And we're very happy to spend time with new clients. Just contact directly to the website resetyourlife.com.au.
Thanks, John. Now, listeners, John has multiple options available on his site for you to explore, whether you're looking for emotional healing or just curious. Excitingly, John offers a complimentary first session, providing new clients with a no-cost discovery experience. Be sure to check out the show notes